professor at any university, but that's besides the point. So this excellent book, Law and the Arab-Israeli Conflict, The Trials of Palestine, is a new contribution to a growing number of books that celebrate the role of law and lawyers in the struggle over Palestine, the different struggles over Palestine. We all grew up, at least the elder statesmen among us, grew up on myths, in the plural, of the founding fathers. They were all great warriors and kibbutzniks, and lawyers were not counted. Lawyering, at least for the Polish, Russian, German chalutzim, were parasites and, God forbid, members of the bourgeoisie. Therefore, lawyers did not count. Now, many of us, in different ways, tell the story of law and lawyers in the different phenomena, developments, occurrences, major occurrences in the history of the conflict, and this is a new, excellent contribution. Now, I was asked to introduce the book, which is almost superfluous. The best introduction is the introduction to the book itself by the writer. I couldn't read it out because this would be plagiarism. Therefore, here is my limited account of it. So, the book has two main asymmetrical parts. The first introduces the reader to the intricacies, legal but not only, of the two British promises of Palestine. We'll talk about this in a moment. And to the history of the struggle for Jewish prayer, not just presence, but Jewish prayer in the Wailing War. Now, this, in essence, is an introduction to what I think is it okay to say Steve? Steve's main interest, and that is the detailed description of the three important local commissions. I'll explain in a minute what I mean by local commissions of inquiry in the mandate era, with a clear emphasis on the legal side, both formal and human. By local, I mean commissions of inquiries that took place here somewhere in Palestine, in Eretz Israel, as opposed to the other commissions that took place either in Geneva or later in the UN, either in Lake Success or elsewhere in the world. So the three commissions, we'll talk about them in a minute. So how about the two promises for those of us who grew up on the assumption that there was only one, and that is the promise of the Balfour Declaration. So, of course, there were two, and the book juxtaposes the McMahon, what's the best way? McMahon. That's what the British pronounce it. The McMahon promise to Sharif Hussein in 1915, earlier than the other one, and the Balfour originally to Rothschild, later to Reichman and the rest of the Zionist leadership in 1917, leading to the Balfour Declaration. And the question is, did they contradict each other? And what if they did? That's the legal question. Assuming they contradicted each other, what if they did? So last first, what if they did? Now, ignoring the real substantive legal question, whether Palestine was Britain's to promise or Sharif Hussein's to receive a promise, whether Palestine or any other part of the Middle East was anyone's to promise, one way or another, the McMahon promise probably had no legal status, if only because Hussein was no state. While the Balfour letter matured into an internationally valid treaty, later matured into a valid treaty. Now, assuming it was a treaty, Zippert and Steve shows convincingly that The law can offer no panacea. Treaties must be interpreted according to the plain meaning of their words. If there are plain words, if the meaning is plain, and there is no plain meaning, consensual plain meaning of the, mostly of McMahon to Hussein, the 1915 promise. Now, failing plain meaning, failing words, if words fail, treaties must be interpreted according to the intention of the parties, but the intention remains contestable, and therefore law can offer no clear consensual solution to the question. But still interesting from a moral and historical point of view is the question, what did McMahon promise? Was Palestine, like Lebanon, excluded from the promised caliphate, the Arab nation, the Arab state, the Arab caliphate? Now, quickly my own feeling, I'm almost sure that Steve shares it, is that much of the evidence goes both ways. Because it relies on later reconstruction. Not only because of conflicting and changing dynamic interests, but because Palestine was not on the original protagonist's mind in either 1915 or 1917, but mainly 1915. What they had in mind was what later was called Iraq, and what was later called Syria. Palestine was, and until the Zionist conquest, remained marginal. And they probably, both McMahon and Sharif Hussein, thought very little of the Palestine problem, one way or another. Later it becomes a major issue, and intentions are reconstructed according to interests of the parties. Now, a glimpse into the intricacies of the issue is Churchill's white paper, Winston Churchill's white paper of 1922, claiming that Palestine was excluded and therefore that it was open for Balfour to promise it to the Zionist cause, was in fact based on a letter of McMahon, the man himself, to John Shachar, from a senior official of the colonial office. He was the Palestine maven of the colonial office. Now, McMahon states that he intended to exclude Palestine. Right? He drafted, at least signed, the letter to Sharif Hussein. He later testifies to Shachar in a private letter that he did not intend to include Palestine. The letter was confidential. It was a private letter by McMahon to Shachar, and therefore Churchill's white paper does not mention it. Churchill makes his own claim that Palestine was excluded, and he relies on a second-rate analysis by a marginal operator in the colonial office. But McMahon later makes public his letter, and makes public his reconstruction of his own intention to exclude Palestine. But this is McMahon's side. This is the side of the promissor. What did the Arabs understand? What was their intention? Did Hussein intend to exclude Palestine from the promise of the caliphate? The book tells us a fascinating story, among many other fascinating stories, of the changing claims, the changing arguments For a while, it suits the Arab interest to claim that Palestine was not included. Later, when the Zionist threat becomes more evident, they change the argument, and they, as I insist, reconstructed their intention, and Palestine comes in. So this was just by way of an example of the first part, the introductory part. Now, quickly about the three commissions. The Shaw Commission of 1922 comes first. Now, Shaw, formally empowered to inquire into the immediate causes of the 1929 riots, what we call Pa'ot Tarpat, at best extending to the question of organized hand. The question we are facing today, is it the action of individuals, or is there an organizing hand behind it? Nothing has changed in the Middle East, that's basically real, as we all know. Now, originally committed to an administrative style of inquiry, the commission soon turned into a full-fledged trial-like circus run by lawyers, and the issues inevitably broadened into the whole plethora of political and legal legitimacy of the Zionist promise, control over the wall, etc. Now, an early manifestation of a major theme in the book is the juxtapositioning of the two British lawyers. This is 1992. Two British lawyers are hired by the two sides, the Jewish side and the Arab side, to represent their cause. Now, among the two, the one representing the Zionist movement, Merriman, was a much, much better lawyer, brilliant lawyer, but his arrogance antagonized both the commissioners and the mandate officials, and the Arab side scored vital points. So remember arrogance. Arrogance is the wrong path to take. All right. This wise observation resonate with the choice of commissioners, because they, including Sir Walter Shaw himself, were second-rate lawyer politicians chosen for their low status, for their marginality. So perhaps a bond of underdogs, second-rate British politicians and the Arab cause, a bond of underdogs. The emerging picture is this: both Jews and Arabs annoy the commissioners. Jews for arrogance, Arabs for reticence, grumbling, and other Oriental vices. But Jews annoy more, and they lose. Okay? Shall I tell a quick story? A quick story. Do you have time for a quick story?
Always.
No, all right, so forget it. No need. Now,
now you mastered.
Second stage, second commission, the less known of the three. Lofgren Commission of 1930, almost ignored by much of the literature. It was officially empowered by the League of Nations, not the British, neither royal nor local. It was empowered by the League of Nations on the assumption, wise both politically and legally, that the League could lend the status, lend the results, whatever they are, greater authority than the local protagonists. Now, the three commissioners were almost a caricature of neutrality. Eliel Lefkorn was a Swede. He came from Sweden. Charles, I think is the way to pronounce it, Charles Bacher was a Swiss, and Karl Josef von Kempen was Dutch. Right? The contours of the story told by Steve are almost identical, but almost. Now, without a single common lawyer among the commissioners, they all came from continental Europe, The show again soon reverted to a highly polemic, clashful, adversarial mode. Here, Mordecai Elias, known to many of us, though brilliant, was a bit more careful not to annoy, but the Arabs still won on most points. Now, finally, the Peel Commission of 1936, by far the most important of the three, not only because it was royal, but it was then clear that the patches, small patches over the wall or the two promises won't work, but that a comprehensive solution would require monumental ingenuity, if at all, if not a miracle would do. By 1936, the enormity of the problem was clear. Therefore, a much better commission comes in, and that's the Peel Commission of 1936. Here, in placing the three commissioners on a placing the three commissions, Shaw, Lofgren, and Peel on a continuum, on almost a learning process, is, in my assessment, the greatest reflective value of the book. Without pushing the point, Steve credits both the Brits and the Jews for learning from past mistakes. Now, though thoroughly British, the Peel Commission adopts a strictly inquisitorial mode, complete with secret sessions. Remember the Spanish Inquisition, all right? Almost no theatrics, no direct clashes, fingers waved by the commissioners themselves, no one-on-one, no lawyer on lawyer, no Arab on Jew. They ran the show. Almost no theatrics, no clashes, serious testimony. Now, for the Zionist cause, minus combative lawyers, there were some around, but they didn't run the show. It was Chaim Weizmann who finally adopted, for the Zionist side, the mode we call Shimshon the Nebuchadnezzar. Remember Shimshon the Nebuchadnezzar? Yeah, but Weizmann did it better. Never say no. Say, let me think about it. I'll come back to you on this. The Arab side, for better or for worse, better, the way I see it, stuck to the all of nothing, to the all of nothing approach to the fundamental question, and in the result lost at least half and probably much more. So I insist the learning process, I still insist, I think, a learning process by the two sides, both on the Arab side, and the consequences, I think, here perhaps another approach with it. The Arab side, not so much. Now, I'm near the end. From a historiographic point of view, there is great value in analyzing the relatively recently released evidence from the secret in-camera testimonies in the Peel Commission. The likes of Lloyd George, Commissioner Chancellor, even Ben-Gurion testified secretly, sometimes partly, or the whole testimony was taken in secrecy, and that there is nothing there to change, I think. Nothing in their testimonies to change the picture dramatically. There was no single moment in camera where anyone said something that would really seriously change the picture. It is very important historically to learn what happened behind closed doors. There's a Lila person from McGill who contributed her share in revealing and analyzing the in-camera testimony, but in a conflict as partisan as ours, it is good to have the story told from a different point of view. I could tell another story, but no time. So if later we have time,